Big City Greens is certainly one of those shows that tends to fly under the radar. On a network surrounded by the kind of fantastical stories the Disney Channel tends to make, Big City Greens steadily chugs along, content in its overall humble, rock-solid stories about a family of country mouses moving to the big city. This episode being Tilly and Cricket's first Halloween after moving to the city. So, the episode begins in the afternoon of October 31st, with Grandma Alice warning Tilly and Cricket about the blood moon that'll plunge the city into terror.
That's pretty spooky, Grandma, but we're gonna go get ready for Halloween. Blood moon.
Yeah, they have no reference for what she's saying. Going right past the show's intro theme with a spookier coat of paint than usual, we get into the episode's actual plot. At this point, we as the audience also have no reference for what the big whoop about the blood moon is either. Regardless, we learn pretty quickly that based on Alice insisting that Bill lock up the animals in the garage, that it has something to do with the animals. In addition, we also learn that Bill apparently hasn't patched a hole in the house that leads into the kids' room. Oh, and of course Cricket and Tilly have gotten their costumes on by now. Cricket is going with a nondescript zombie costume that he can scare people with, and Tilly is going as a specifically non-mad scientist.
If I'm angered at all, it is due to a lack of funding for my research.
Bill comes in to let the kids know that with the garage locked up, he can now focus on getting ready to take them trick-or-treating. Except there's one little thing.
We don't need you for Halloween this year.
Basically, back in the country, as many people who grew up on farmland can attest to, due to all the houses being so far apart, Bill actually had to drive the kids from house to house, which overall meant that since they had to spend so much time driving to houses, they got less candy overall. The thing is, though, because they're now in Big City, everybody lives so much closer to each other in comparison that Bill doesn't need to drive them anywhere. Also, potentially increasing their ability to acquire candy tenfold. And before you point out that they seem a little young to be trick-or-treating on their own, you have a good point, which is why they're also going with their friend Remy and his bodyguard Vasquez. And keep in mind, Vasquez is played by Danny Trejo. And believe me, if you need somebody to be safe, you could kind of do worse than Machete.
Thank you for noticing.
Though on their way out, Alice warns Tilly and Cricket about the blood moon.
What's happening, Tilly? Grandma's starting to lose it.
To be fair, Alice keeps threatening people with weapons, including local barista and friend of the Greens, Gloria, who, while on her way out to a party, is at the front door to drop off a disgusting pumpkin that Cricket left at the cafe next door. Cricket, seizing on his opportunity, startles Gloria, causing her to pass out and Alice to drag Gloria inside. Afterwards, Remy and Vasquez arrive in the Remington family helicopter ready for trick-or-treating. Apparently, Remy isn't amused by him and Vasquez being in the same costume, believing that Vasquez intentionally copied his costume. The Greens and Remy are just about to leave when the blood moon arrives.
Huh?
Now, in real life, a blood moon is a perfectly mundane side effect of a total lunar eclipse where the Earth blocks the sun. But here it's revealed that the reason Alice insisted that Bill lock up the animals is that for some reason a blood moon on Halloween causes all the animals to go into a berserk trance, attacking everybody, forcibly trapping the Greens, Remy, and Vasquez in the house. Though for some reason not going after anybody else walking around Big City. That's a little weird. Around this time, Gloria actually comes to, and not realizing what's going on, rushes outside to go to her party, where she gets mauled by their animals, forcing her back inside. Now, while they wait for the blood moon to pass, Bill proposes a way to trick-or-treat inside.
Hello, I'm an old lady.
Bill Green, what are you doing?
Yeah, not one of Bill's greatest ideas. Probably right up there with whatever he did to lose a part of his finger to a hay baler. During this, one of the Green's cows busts the house's circuit breaker, and while Bill attempts to get Cricket and Remy to bob for eggs, Vasquez goes off to investigate further, discovering that someone, or worse, something, undid the lock on the garage, which is why all their animals are free. Vasquez finding Bill and the kids in the bathroom to report what he's seen. Meanwhile, Alice and Tilly, having become concerned that after getting bit by the animals, Gloria would turn into one of them, they throw her into the kids' room to see if she transforms, with Tilly locking herself in with Gloria to try and help.
I'm gonna cure you of the demon illness you possess.
Oh, you're kidding me.
As you can imagine, Gloria being poked and prodded makes her angrier. Remy also thinks Vasquez is a liar because of the costume thing, and Cricket is still annoyed about missing Halloween. This is important because their arguing ends up being heard by the animals, causing them to notice the hole in the wall I mentioned earlier, and with the animals now rampaging inside the house, forcing Cricket to use a flashlight to stun the animals. Using it to buy everyone some time to flee in terror to the basement. Oh, except for Gloria. Now trapped in the basement, assuming that since it's only been an hour they ain't gonna survive the whole night, Bill accidentally says his thoughts out loud.
Ooh, I didn't think it would be this bad.
You didn't think what would be so bad?
Yet, turns out Bill was the one who undid the lock.
Those were great times. Halloween was something we did together, and I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Fearing that his days of trick-or-treating with Tilly and Cricket are now over. Assuming it wouldn't be so bad, he took the lock off so they would have no choice but to stay at home for the night. Not realizing how much his little whoopsie-daisy would spiral out of control.
Oh, Bill.
Well, you want us to spend Halloween together, so here we are.
Yeah, Bill just got the I'm not mad, just disappointed from both his mom and his kids. And it could have been worse. His ex-wife could have been there too. The good news is, Bill redeems himself by coming up with a plan to escape their current subterranean incarceration. Though it is a bit dirty.
That was a lot harder than I thought.
With the animals still in the house, all they need to do is sneak away without making a sound. So of course, here comes a kid that doesn't understand that lights off means no candy. Fleeing into the nearest apartment building, with Bill only being able to temporarily halt the stampede, this forces the kids to trick-or-treat while running for dear life.
Trick or treat, run away!
Give me that!
During this mad dash, Vasquez for some reason tries to explain that the situation with his and Remy's costume is actually the opposite. See, without realizing it, Remy decided to dress up in the same costume Vasquez wears every year to accompany him. And after that revelation, they hug it out, which would be a sweet moment if not for... While still being chased, the Greens run through a friend of theirs, Brett's apartment, and go up the fire escape onto the roof, with Bill attempting to sacrifice himself to the animals as repentance for letting them out in the first place, with Cricket double sacrificing all the candy he just got to the animals. Doesn't buy them a lot of time, but just enough that the blood moon passes before their goat Melissa eats Cricket's head. In the aftermath, everybody is okay, including a severely mauled Gloria.
I made it! What'd I miss?
And the family embraces.